Okay, YouTube. Ubisoft just did a deal with Tencent. And you know what? The internet has crapped its pants. Straight away, you have people who cover the games industry talking about why it's so crazy and so bad for gamers and so bad for investors. So, spoiler alert, the new Ubisoft Tencent deal is A, not that exciting, and B, probably a decent idea. And it's really just not that meaningful. The good news, Ubisoft just raised $1 billion in exchange for what amounts to essentially profit sharing. All right, let's get into it. First off, what did they even do? Well, Ubisoft sold a 25% stake in a subsidiary which they placed about half of their assets into. Okay? They took half of their revenue generating IP and put it in a different building. Then they went to Tencent and were like, hey, bro, we can't really sell you too many of our public shares. It would kind of make a mess of things. So, how about we just sell you some shares in this new company that we put all of our biggest names into? Tencent said, word, how about $1 billion for 25% of that basket? Yubi said yes, and that's the end of the deal. Also, if you're curious about the claim that this is half their assets, well, they confirmed this on the investor call. They said it represents about $1 billion in rev, and they do about $2 billion in rev a year. So that's it. Sure, it is their longest term franchises, but based on revenue generation, it's about half their stuff. And that's it. And pay close attention to these percentages. The only reason anyone should act like this is a big deal is if we are talking about a transaction that changes control. But this does not. The old Guillemots still have control. They have given up 25%, which sure is a lot, but it doesn't change much. Also, let's even assume this 25% stake in half their company does, in some way, represent about that same amount of control. Okay, so now what? Is that good or bad? The correct answer is I don't know. Because what the heck? Ubisoft is a video game company, Tencent is a video game giant. What is the underlying assumption with all of this exaggerated excitement? This is undeniably a major financial transaction, but to pretend to see some additional writing on the wall outside of the face value is just a little silly. And it's pretty simple. So, why did they do this? Well, to get more money. They need more money. And this gave them $1 billion. And what did they lose? Well, loosely speaking, they gave up about 1/8 of their future long term earnings. That's the math on selling 25% of a company that represents 50% of their company. So, is that a good deal? Well, the stock market right before this transaction was valuing that asset basket, again, loosely speaking here, at somewhere under $250 million. So selling it for $1 billion sounds like a pretty good idea to me. You know what else they got? They got to move some of their most exciting IP out from under the oppressive reign of the HR behemoth that exists at UB headquarters. Granted, it may not work out like that, but it's not a terrible idea. The TD Cohen equity analyst on the call, he even asked about this. He was like, so Yeevee, this new subsidiary, will it be reporting through the same management structure? And so I can't really say what he was thinking at the time, but I was thinking almost exclusively about the Praetorian Content Review Committee that they've got. So, again, what the heck, YouTube? Please tell me, using math or some economical argument, why this is bad, how this represents some insanely shocking development. Who is this hurting? And I'm not saying this is like the best idea ever, but what in the wide, wide world of sports is the problem? Ubisoft just raised $1 billion, extended their life by at least a couple years, and they certainly had to give up some long term profits, but fair is fair. And they may even be able to pull a fast one and find a way using this new structure to make better games. So, who's it hurting? How is this a bloodbath? It's not. This is a nothing burger. And okay, what else? The stock crash. Well, the stock is currently right where it was in the middle of February. And it definitely did jump down based on this news. Sure, okay, so let's run with that. The stock crash, let's say. So, is anyone who's reporting on this actually incapable of interpreting this? Anyone? Uh, doesn't seem like it. But you know who is? Our boy Doug Kreutz at TD. Who is he? He is one of the only people in the world who were on the earnings call. One of the only people in the world with a robust financial model custom built to estimate the value of Ubisoft shares. And what does he say about the situation? Well, not an enormous amount, but he has a price target of 14 bucks and a hold rating. The other guys on the call have not made their updates public yet, but I sincerely doubt they will be downgrading based on this news. The news is meh at best. And if you like video games, it is probably in your best interest, as it gives lots of money to a company that historically does just that, makes video games, and maybe even allows them to make games in a slightly more flexible way, which, if you have watched my other video, you would know is a major hurdle for them. Okay, that's all I've got. Ubisoft is fine. The transaction is probably a good idea. The stock didn't crash, and the content creators who are saying otherwise are just straight up misunderstanding the situation.